And Rod, all of a sudden, Philly, the Eagles have found a quarterback. Let's hear from their head coach on their spark that they just found in order to go beat New Orleans. Here was Coach Peterson after the win.
After going through the film and really looking back even to last week and the preparation and everything, I'm gonna continue with Jalen this week as the starter.
Can I follow up on that real quick? Yesterday during your press conference, it sounded like you chose your words a little carefully when it came to either praising Jalen and I was wondering, did you weigh, Carson's feelings on that? Or was it also part of it, you don't want to put too much pressure on this kid who just went out and performed for you going down the road?
Yeah, I was thinking of a lot of things. Quite honestly, I was thinking of Carson, but I was thinking about the rest of the team and how the rest of the team played, in the game. And Jalen did, after looking at the film again today, Jalen played well. He was a big part of, the success we had on offense and obviously helping us win that football game. But there were a lot of other great individual performances on both sides of the ball, right? I think of Miles Sanders. I think of, Josh Sweat and Javon Hargrave and, Fletcher Cox had a big game, big sack. We had 2 defensive takeaways in the game. So there were a lot of positives coming out of the football game, and I just didn't want to say, hey, it was all about one guy because, you guys know me and my answers, and I've always been about the team, and really that was a team win yesterday.
Well, I'll tell you this, Jack. Doug Peterson was absolutely wrong. It was about Jalen Hurts, and he came in, provided him a spark. But, the interesting thing about it, listening to Miles Sanders, he said not only did he give him a spark, but he provided leadership, and that's something that they were missing, leadership at the quarterback position. And, when you listen to Doug Peterson yesterday, and it's like, okay, why is it so hard for you to come out and say that Jalen Hurts played a great game? He played a great game. And remember, this is the thing that really irritated me, because for weeks, I said, hey, the Saints are the number 1 defense. They're the top defense in the league. And everybody else started saying the Saints defense. This guy, a rookie quarterback, came off the bench. Came in, started, and played tremendous against the best defense in the National Football League. And I just don't understand why it's so hard for Doug Peterson just to come out and flat and say that. And yeah, all these guys made other plays, but it was because of their confidence in Jalen Hurts, Jack.
I think he's still trying to manage the quarterback room a little bit. I think after all those years with being around Carson Wentz and Wentz being the man at quarterback, he's probably trying to still keep him engaged. But there's no question that this was a legitimate spark. And the vast majority of it came on the ground from Hurts. There's one throw in particular that really stands out in my mind, which was the touchdown throw where he gets just crushed. Quan Alexander just absolutely lays into him. But Hurts steps into the throw and puts a perfect back shoulder touchdown to Alshon Jeffrey while taking a big shot. But the vast majority of that game was Hurts, and he was scrambling at times where he really didn't need to scramble. But that's something you see with young quarterbacks, and he was running right a lot, and that's something you see with young quarterbacks. But there were moments in that game where it had some Taysom Hill effect to it, if you will, where he would take off, and it was a power running scheme. His speed was more than the Saints defense thought it was, but I really was shocked that the New Orleans defense was not forcing him to throw. They were giving him some wide open running lanes, and that seemed to be exactly what Hurts was looking for, and they really didn't adjust to it throughout the course of the game. Over 100 rushing yards, that's how Philly got a win.
Yeah, I thought Doug Peterson did a good job of going to what's comfortable to Jalen Hurts, and that was the RPOs. The same thing that Nick Foles, and they end up winning that championship, the Super Bowl, all those RPOs. And it just looked like Jalen, and it was a lot of design, bootlegs, deep, getting outside the pocket, whether it was to the right side, whether it was to the left side, to really help that offensive line. And that's what I saw. The offensive line, they actually played pretty well. If you look at the tape, you go back and watch the tape, they gave him an opportunity to drop back and pass the ball, run. And I was just so happy for this young man because he's gone through so much in his college career. He comes in, he's done everything you've asked him to do. He's supported Carson Wentz. He's been humble. He's worked his tail off. He understands exactly what's going on as far as the X's and O's. And I couldn't be more proud of Jalen Hurts for what he accomplished yesterday.
I agree with you. And I thought it was fitting that it happened against New Orleans because, in large part, I think the reason that he was drafted was because of the success of a guy like Taysom Hill. I really do. The reason he became a second-round pick was and I think, disrespectfully, probably people said, oh, he's a running quarterback. He's going to do the same thing that Taysom's going to do. Well, we've seen that Taysom's a throwing quarterback too. And we've seen that Hurts is a throwing quarterback too. But they also have that power running game element to them and a leadership element. Both of them have, and you're seeing all that come to fruition. Let's hear from Miles Sanders on their quarterback and what kind of a guy he is within that locker room there in Philly.
Hey, he played awesome, man. The tape shows for itself. He's so confident and so, he's a natural leader. And we just needed that. He gave us that spark starting from last week. But, man, y'all seen it all. I think we played a total of 4 quarters today, and I think we look like a complete team. Minus the penalties, we got to clean that up. But overall, I think this whole team did a hell of a job.
See, and let me tell you, it doesn't necessarily have to come from the head coach, but it comes from those players in the locker room. And they've been around Carson Wentz. They know how he operates, and now they know how Jalen Hurts operates. And trust me, he would not come out and say the type of things that he said about Jalen Hurts if it weren't true. I like Miles Sanders. I think he's a really good young back. If he stays healthy, they have a chance. And I'm not saying they have a chance this year, but you look at Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert, he's got 2 big, reliable targets that he can throw the ball to. You saw the back shoulder fade that Alshon Jeffrey caught, and you just felt a sense of urgency, and these guys playing to the potential. And you go back and you watch old tape of Carson, and you just see him patting the ball, holding it. It's like, get sacked, strip sack. And all of a sudden, you saw Jalen Hurts. He's back there. He's got composure. He's poised. He sees everything. If he feels uncomfortable, then you see the athleticism. You see the speed outside the pocket. And it just seemed like the Saints, they weren't ready. Dennis Allen did not have his defense ready for what Jalen Hurts brought to the offense. And it was just like mind-boggling. But I was really happy for the young man. He played extremely well, Jack.
What does it do for the Philly defense? I'm thinking about a couple of moments in that game where Hurts took off and ran for a first down, and you saw the sideline on film just go nuts. Like all the defenders that were standing over there watching the game going, oh, this is not Wentz anymore. There's something happening for us offensively. What does that do to the energy of a defense standing over there realizing we may have something coming in here at the quarterback position?
Great question, Jack. It just sparks you because they're so used. And I played on the number 1 defense, and I had the worst offense in the National Football League in 1998. And it was just so discouraging. Every time you would go out there, you would get 3 and out. You would get the ball back to the offense, and they couldn't do anything with it. And it's like so frustrating time and time again. Eventually throughout the game, it wears you down. It discourages you. And then before you know it, guys are quitting. Guys are making business decisions. They don't want to hit guys. They're protecting their bodies. So when you have a guy out there running and he's getting hit and he's trying to pick up those extra yards, it pumps you up. It gets you fired up because you know you have a legitimate chance. And if I'm Fletcher Cox, I'm looking at all these guys. I'm saying, look, we have the talent on defense. If the offense just gives us just a little something, just give us a little glimpse of hope, we're going to be okay. And it just fires you up. And you saw that. You saw the energy that Jalen Hurts. And I tell you, like, people thought I was crazy. You and I said, play Jalen Hurts. And they thought I was absolutely crazy. But I knew that this guy would come in, with the level of maturity and humility that he has, and I knew he would ball out. Now, can he do it the next month of the season? We'll see, but I do believe that he will continue to get better as he gets more reps.
Well, on the topic of an offensive spark, the Buffalo Bills, the game of the week, Sunday Night Football, Bills, Steelers. I got some calls on the way out, Rodney. Bills Mafia, they were tugging at my shirt on the way out of the stadium going, you got to talk to Rodney tomorrow about his pick, because I know that you did go with the Steelers. I want to give you a chance right now to address all of the fans, of which there are many, that are chirping one Rodney Harrison.
First of all, if the fans watch the show, and I know they do, Football Night in America, I've given Buffalo nothing but props the last few weeks. I've talked about Leslie Frazier being more dynamic and aggressive with his play calling. I've said earlier this year about the 2 safeties, Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde, two of the best safeties in the league. I've talked about their run game. I mean, I don't know what else positive I could say about the Buffalo Bills, but I tell you this, because they trolled me. They said, good morning. I looked at Twitter this morning at 5 a.m. It said, good morning, everybody except Rodney Harrison. And it's funny because I just so happened to bring my Super Bowl rings, you know, to Connecticut to do the show. And I got 2 Super Bowl rings back to back. Is that something? Has Buffalo ever won a Super Bowl?
I think I don't know. I'm just asking. Straight, if my memory serves me. I don't think they won any. I remember from 91, 92, 93, and 94. They lost 4 in a row, right? So Buffalo. I think that's right, Rob.
Buffalo Bills fans, leave me alone, okay? I've showed you nothing but love this year. I thought Mike Tomlin would have those guys ready. I thought they would come out and play. I picked the wrong pick, but at the end of the day, if you want to count Super Bowl rings, I think I got you, Buffalo.
I actually thought it was a bold pick, but not by no means a dumb pick. And without that Johnson pick six to end the half, that looked like one of those games where everyone's real hot on Buffalo, and they are the trending team. They're playing better December football. All of the points. They're healthier. All of the points were there on the table. But Mike Tomlin has a way. I mean, even last year without Ben Roethlisberger, where they won 8 games, I mean, he always has a way of rallying his guys. I really think the difference in last night's game was that this just wasn't a normal stretch for the Steelers. Had it been a normal stretch where it was a Sunday to Sunday to Sunday, they had played 12 games. Or excuse me, in 12 days, they had played 3 games. And they had been banged up throughout. I mean, they just have lost so many defenders. They're without Hayden. They're without Devin Bush. They're without Dupree. They're without so many offensive linemen that were falling last night. It's just a beat-up football team. So I think for them to try to rally right now, it just was hard given that they don't have the same amount of bodies there. And then when Big Ben made that mistake and they're playing from behind, it just was not in the cards. And then the second half of that game, Stephon Diggs took over that Steelers secondary. There was nobody in sight that could cover Stephon Diggs, and Josh Allen's proven that he's at the top of the league playing the quarterback position right now.
And Josh Allen is a real deal. He sees the entire field, and what I like about him is he's that inspirational leader. He's a tough guy, and he celebrates with his team, and he's humble, and he works hard, and he's a normal guy. He's just one of the guys. It's not like it's Josh Allen up here and it's everybody else over here. He's involved with his offensive line, with his wide receivers, with his running backs. I just love what he's been able to do. You talk about Stephon Diggs. Well, I have a vote, and he definitely has my all-pro vote, definitely, because he's been outstanding this year. I thought he was going to have about 8 receptions. I think he had 10, and I knew that he was going to have a big night last night, and he works so hard. He's so tough. People want to say that he has a bad attitude. The guy wants to win, and he's going to hold you accountable. I like what Buffalo's doing. They look different on defense. I love the aggressive mindset by defensive coordinator Leslie Frazier. And he had a great game plan. They set on all the routes. They forced Ben. They said, okay, Ben, we're gonna try you. We're gonna force you to throw the ball down the field. And he just didn't have a lot of success doing that.
And Josh Allen this offseason, accuracy was the knock. He's always had the big arm, but they continued to knock him for accuracy, and accuracy was ultimately translating to completion percentage. He just wasn't completing many easy passes, and he was looking down the field. He had a little Brett Favre to him, had a little cowboy to him when he entered into the league. And he's sort of been coached out of that. He's kind of gone Favre to like Breeze or Brady. He's trying to pull some of that out, but he still keeps a little of that ability to scramble around and throw a missile. I mean, he just has a rare arm. But he had his whole throwing motion digitally mapped this offseason. Digitally mapped is what they call it. 15 cameras they put around him. And he said the feedback that he got, he said, you just go out there and throw, and then they shoot you this feedback. The feedback he got was that you are using your hips less than all 20 quarterbacks that we just digitally mapped. Your hips are not a part of your throwing motion whatsoever. So while you have the greatest miles per hour of all the guys that we just went in here and monitored, you're not using the most powerful part of your body when you're throwing the football. And so he said, I'm going to try it. And he started to slowly try this whole process. And he's like, I was worse than I was. Like, I'm starting missing throws that I was hitting before. And I almost quit on it. It makes me think a little bit of like when you get a golf lesson and you go play 18 and you're worse than you were before your lesson. And then you throw it out. You know what I'm saying? And then you throw it out. And he's like, I was this close to throwing it out. And then I went and I watched and talked to Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers has this little left foot, his front foot, his left foot has this little crow hop, just this little opening. And that's what allows his hips to open up. And he said as soon as he saw Rodgers, he went back out to the practice field, started trying it, and boom, it clicked. And ever since then, I mean, he's in the MVP race. He's top 3 in the MVP race right now.
Absolutely.
And the completions and all of the easy stuff, it's happening. He's a different quarterback this year.
But you know who, Jack, is probably the most valuable player on their team? It's offensive coordinator Brian Daboll. He was with me in New England, and the job that he's doing, just the comfort level, the way he's spreading the ball around, the way he's making it a priority to allow Stephon Diggs to shine, incorporating the run game, getting the ball to everyone, and just the way their offense is complementing their defense and special teams. And I just give Brian Daboll a lot of props, a lot of credit, because, I mean, to get Josh Allen, who was a wild child, we knew that he had all the talent and ability in the world, but to get him kind of honed in and focused and not so erratic, I mean, he's been tremendous. He really has. And, you know, nobody's really mentioned his name as a possible head coach candidate, but I would say, hey, you need to probably start looking at him and the work that he's done with this young quarterback.
I think you have to, because what everybody's trying to do right now is develop a young quarterback over the course of a 2 or 3 year span. That's about all you get as a coach. If you're not winning by then, it's like, okay, we got to look for the next guy. And who's proven that they could do that better than Daboll? I mean, who has proven that better? If you can think of somebody, I'd like to hear it. He has been so impressive. And then Cole Beasley is another name that, since he's come over from the Cowboys, he really has just given him a ton of comfort. I mean, some slot receivers understand where those holes in the zone are. Sometimes it's not all about going full speed. It's about sort of shuffling your feet and just finding that opening. And Allen's developed a trust that he is going to be a safety valve. And I think it's allowing him to look down the field, but then come back down through his reads, because he always knows he can just check it to Beasley and bail him out. And that's probably, back to your point, it's just Daboll coaching that confidence into him.
Yeah, and just the patience that he's shown, and that's what you see. Cole Beasley, he's outstanding. And when the Cowboys allowed him to walk, I'm like, are you kidding me? He might be your best player or most reliable target out there. But, yeah, I'm just really proud of what Josh Allen did and just how well he played and his continued progress.
Yeah, and you know what else he has a little bit of, and maybe it's just because they were playing against the Steelers, and so you watch the Steelers, then you watch Big Ben, and then you watch Allen. You sort of go back and forth between the two of them when you're getting ready for the game. He has this little, Big Ben over the course of his career has really had that pump fake, right? He kills defenses when he does the full body pump fake, and then he comes right back, and then he goes left, and everyone's like, the whole defense already moved 5 steps that way, and then he throws the ball back that direction. Allen got Richard Sherman with this little shoulder shimmy shake last week, and then threw the touchdown to Davis down the sideline. And he did the exact same thing on Sunday Night Football. And I asked him about it when we did the interview this week, and he said on the Sherman play, he was looking at Sherman going, this is pre-snap, I know for a fact that if I even just look into the flat that I can draw, because Sherman's always reading the eyes, right? He said, I know if I even just give him just the slightest look, and all it took was just that he'll bite on it. He said, I saw the play happen before it happened. And that, to me, is the difference between a first-year quarterback and a third-year quarterback, especially when they have a great coach like we're talking about. How about for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Where do they go from here, Rodney? What's the biggest issue that you see with this team? Are they cooked with all these injuries, or is there still a little bit of fight? I mean, where do you see them going? 2 losses in a row now.
Well, they got to get healthy. I mean, that's the most important thing. They got to try to find a way to just fend off at the end of the season and get guys healthy. But also, when you have guys that have been injured, these guys get an opportunity to play. They're just going to have to catch back up. And Mike Tomlin is going to have to take some of the pressure off of Ben, and he's going to have to try to figure out a way, and that's his job as a head coach, is to try to figure out a way with his offensive coordinator to try to run the ball, even if it's quick passes to the flat to the running back. Those are kind of like elevated run plays. But they're going to have to find a way where it's not all Big Ben dropping back, hitting 4 or 5 yard routes, and then eventually, like you talked about, pump faking and taking shots down the field. They have to have a little bit more balance. And they have to start catching the ball. Like, the ball is in your hands. You got to start catching the ball. Eric Ebron and Deontay Johnson and those guys, you got to be able to catch the football. Like Mike Tomlin said, those are routine plays that they need to make.
They are. But when he said the whole thing about catch the ball or we'll find somebody that will. I get it, but I don't know. There's something about the receiver position that it's a very mental thing too, And when you're wide open and you've caught that ball, maybe you catch that ball at the pro level probably 99 out of 100 times. But when your head coach kind of puts you on media blast like that in front of the whole world, everybody's talking about that quote, and then Deontay Johnson's wide open and he catches that thing 99 out of 100 times. I just don't know with that position in particular. It's a little like a quarterback. It's like, do you really want to get inside of their head like that? And it appears like he either got back inside of their head or these receivers for Pittsburgh just forgot how to catch the ball. I have no idea what's going on with them. I have no idea. All right, let's get into the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's keep it on these struggling offenses. It's funny because it was like the Chiefs looked unstoppable. Pittsburgh looked unstoppable, and now for back-to-back weeks, I understand that they've won the games, but Kansas City, they struggled against Denver offensively, and they struggled against Miami yesterday. Reason for concern there in KC? What do you think of the picks coming out of Mahomes as well?
Man, I think we have such an elevated just opinion of, Mahomes and how, I think we actually, sometimes I think he should go out there and play perfect football. And that's just not the case. You got to understand, these are the champs. So every week they play, they're going to get a team's very best shot. And to me, it's not the fact that he threw interceptions, but the fact that when he threw the interceptions, they were still able to come back. But when I look at the Miami Dolphins, I was actually really proud of the Miami Dolphins because through all the ups and downs and them missing players and them losing their starting wide receiver, Devontae Parker, not having some linebackers, some veteran linebackers, because everything they did, Brian Flores did this offseason, was based on trying to beat the Kansas City Chiefs or to compete against the Kansas City Chiefs. Mm-hmm. It wasn't to necessarily beat the Patriots or the Buffalo Bills because Brian Flores knows that he has championship aspirations. So if I'm Brian, I'm actually proud of my group. We were undermanned. We still fought. We clawed, and we know that we can play against anybody. And you look at Kansas City; they're flat out loaded. You take away Tyreek Hill, you got Travis Kelce catching balls, and then you have Sammy Watkins. You got the running back. It's just they have so many weapons, man. And no matter how poorly they play, you still got to score 27, 30 points to beat them. And that's the crazy thing about it.
That's it. Watkins got going yesterday. Mecole Hardman had a huge play. It was a punt return yesterday for a touchdown. And he's the luxury pick. He was the pick that they took. And, it was just in case that Tyreek Hill is not going to be able to be a part of the Chiefs. They picked Mecole Hardman, and then they end up with just two crazy speedsters. So they're so overly wealthy with playmakers. I always like to go through the picks individually. Of course. I always like to go through the interceptions individually with Mahomes. And so I just don't think they're really concerning plays. The first one was a fake screen to the left. He spins around, and really the screen to Tyreek to the front side was wide open. But the play was to fake that screen and then flip around like they always do. The Chiefs always have some play nobody else has seen. And then to flip around and throw it to Travis Kelce. And it just wasn't really there to Travis Kelce. And I think Mahomes was expecting that it would be wide open, probably like it typically is. And it just was tipped off his hands and falls into the defender's hands. Another pick that he had was a screen to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That, he's a real short dude, and it just was a little bit high. He tipped it up, and it was a layup interception. And then the third one was to Tyreek Hill, where Tyreek Hill really got spun around the wrong direction. He was looking the wrong way. He was open. He was behind the defender, but he really had his head this way, and then he tried to flip back that way at the last second, and it just ended up being a pretty routine interception. It was a great play by the defender, but it was routine in the sense that Tyreek really could never find the football. So I don't think any of the interceptions are trendy. I don't think it's like Kansas City's falling apart. I think they were just unfortunate plays that all happened to be in one game.
I'll tell you this, as a defensive guy, watching the tape every week on Kansas City, it's amazing to me that he doesn't throw 2 or 3 interceptions every single week. He gives defensive backs opportunities. And for whatever reason, because of the speed and because they can't judge the ball always goes over their head. And how many times have we seen Tyreek Hill go over at his size, 5'9" or whatever he is, 5'10", jump over guys, safeties that are 6 feet tall? Like, there's opportunities against Patrick Mahomes. And I always say this when we have Kansas City. I said, he's going to give you 2 or 3 opportunities. The most important thing is keep the ball in front of you and catch it when it comes to you, because you're going to have opportunities. So, you look at Patrick Mahomes, I don't worry about the interceptions because he's such a risky quarterback and he has a lot of confidence in his guys. And think about Travis Kelce, even when he's covered, and I thought safety Eric Rowe did a really good job, and he was right there on a lot of contested. But Travis is just so big and so athletic. He runs such great routes. And I've been fortunate enough to defend a lot of these all-pro and, say, Hall of Fame tight ends like Tony Gonzalez and Shannon Sharp, and the list goes on, Jason Witten. And Travis Kelce is a better route runner than all those guys. He's fast, he's athletic. He's like a big wide receiver, and he has so much wiggle and so much movement. He's incredible, man. And I do believe that when he's done, he'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah. The other thing that Miami did do well is they got pressure. They got pressure on Patrick Mahomes. Rarely do you see him getting hit, and he was holding the ball for a really long time. And, I thought him sort of being able to take off and do the run 15 yards backwards and spin around and then throw the ball 35 yards down the field, I didn't really think that was a stoppable play until I saw Miami stop him. They got him for about a 25-yard sack. They really just did a nice job of, like, the further backwards he ran, they kept the clamps on him. The further he went, it was like, we don't care. We'll keep you right there in between the hashes. Their defenders did a great job. How did they do that so well? How did they get pressure on them? That seems like some Flores-Belichick magic to me. Is that what it was, Rod?
Well, it's a lot of different looks. You have that 7-man look, and you're dropping defensive linemen, you're blitzing certain guys, you have simulated pressures and things like that. But you got to understand, those guys are hungry. Brian Flores, he's had success against Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, so he knows how to play him. And Patrick, he's going to do whatever he wants to do. And 99% of guys, you say him and maybe Deshaun Watson, you'll tell them, okay, guys, it's okay if you run back 25, 30 yards because they have the skill and athleticism to do that. Maybe Kyler Murray too. But everyone can't do that. And that as Andy Reid, you got to live with some of the good and some of the bad when it comes to Mahomes. But I don't worry about Kansas City. Kansas City, to me, is the most complete team in the AFC and NFC. They're the most complete team, period. And you got to come ready to play. And I'm just worried about Miami. And my biggest concern, I was talking to Coach Dungy, is, hey, they got to score 27 to 30 points if they want to just be there with the Kansas City Chiefs, because that's what they do. They score a lot of points, Jack.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think Tua has been encouraging in a lot of ways, flashes. He's been encouraging. I don't know that he's necessarily been very good yet. I don't know that he's ready for the bright lights yet. I think this Miami defense is. I think there's parts of this Miami team that is ready. But overall, given the Tua development, it's probably a team that's 2 or 3 years away from something serious, almost like Arizona. I think the Cardinals are in a similar boat where it's like you can see what it's going to be.
Hold on. Jack,
go ahead.
You just said something. I'm not just going to let you get away with that. You said they're 2 or 3 years away? Absolutely not.
I believe that.
Think about what...
Do you think Miami's going to do something this year?
Let me finish, please. Just think about what they did this offseason. Just think about the improvements that they made this offseason through the draft, through getting free agencies, drafting a quarterback. The thing that he's going to focus on this offseason is being able to have a run game. That's what they're missing, because Tua is a game manager, and there's nothing wrong with being a game manager, and because they have a really good defense and they got good special teams. But at the end of the day, man, hey, you got to come with it. And I think the Miami Dolphins are going to come with it. They're going to be able to run the football. I don't think they're 2 or 3 years away. I mean, they have a really good defense. I think that's the one thing they're missing offensively is their ability to run the football. Your thoughts?
I mean, I thought I was really being generous when I said 2 or 3 years away. I'm talking about making a deep playoff run. Like, I don't think it's a team that's bad. I think they're just sort of middle of the pack in terms of the AFC, and I think it's a team with potential to be top of the pack if Tua can develop. And I don't really believe Tua is a game manager right now. But from a skill set standpoint, if you can develop what he has, I don't think that he will be a game manager. Do you think his ceiling is a game manager, Rodney? Like, do you think in 2 or 3 years he's still that same player? I just think he'll be a lot better than he is. That's the point I'm making.
No, I don't. I think he's a game manager now, but I think in the future, as he gets more confidence in his body and his injuries and things like that, I don't think he's going to be a game manager. He wasn't a game manager when he was at University of Alabama. He was not a game manager.
Right.
He was a guy that was running, using his legs, spreading the ball around, and doing those things. Right now, he's trying to manage the game because they don't want him to mess it up. And with that defense, a lack of run game, and you have a game manager, it limits what you can do offensively. But once they implement and they go and they get that run game, think if they can get a guy like, what's his name, Travis Etienne, that type of speed where you can hand the ball off and this guy has that type of speed and explosion. He can get 20, 30 yards at any point in time. That's going to really take that safety out the box. That's going to open up, that's going to add the safety in the box. That's going to open up the passing game. And I think that's when Tua's going to really shine. But a young quarterback like him can't shine if they don't have a run game.
All right, let's get to a team that could use a game manager. And the Washington football team, they kind of had found one with Alex Smith. Alex Smith now injured. I don't know what that will be or look like. Dwayne Haskins comes back in. Probably more important, though, to focus on what Washington is doing defensively. Back-to-back years, they've invested first-round draft picks into defensive linemen. All of a sudden, they're starting to get pressure on quarterbacks with ease. Are you a believer in this Washington team right now?
If you're asking me, and I asked, Mike Tirico asked me this question, I think it was 3 weeks ago. Yeah, I'm a believer in the Washington football team because of Alex Smith. He's a game manager. You know he's not going to mess it up. I think they have to get Antonio Gibson back healthy. I mean, he is a stud. You talk about a top 7, 8 back in this league, top 8 back in this league. I think Antonio Gibson, and I just like what they're doing flying around. Do I believe in this team as far as Haskins being a quarterback? I don't believe in Haskins. I think Haskins is up and down. I think he's a kid that's kind of immature. He's a little moody, and I think they're going to take a step back with him. I hope Alex Smith is healthy, and I hope Dwayne Haskins proved me wrong, but I think Ron Rivera's done a great job with what they're doing, and they're playing at a high level.
Defensively, I'm with you. I'm fully bought into what it is. And offensively, it was enough with Alex Smith in there, and I don't think it's enough with Haskins in there. He's kind of throwing the ball recklessly all over the place. Yep. Watching Chase Young play made me think about this question. I think it's a good one for you, Rod. If you had to build a defense right now around a young defensive lineman, if you could pick any of the young defensive linemen to build your defense around, you're the defensive coordinator, who would you want? Who would be your top pick right now? If you could have any of the bunch, where would you go?
Wow, it's hard not to look at that kid Bosa out in San Francisco. He is an absolute stud. TJ Watt is really, really good. I mean, he does everything. He can drop in coverage. He stops to run. But Chase Young is just a special. He's a freak. Kind of reminds you of Julius Peppers, just the way he looks and how athletic he is and how fast he is. I mean, the kid runs a 4.5 at 280 pounds or whatever he is. He's just all muscle. Excuse me. But him, it'll probably be Chase Young. I mean, just watching him play and just the speed, the athleticism, how hungry they are getting after the quarterback. And he's that guy, man. They're going to have to deal with him for a long time. Chase Young is that dude.
Yeah, totally. And just the value that you would get to on the rookie contract that he's still on. When he picked up that fumble yesterday, man, he's just like, he's a man-child out there and started running down that sideline. Like, there's no way somebody that big can look that smooth. He almost has like that Travis Kelce look to him when he took off and runs. Like the stride is just too perfect. And you know, I keep flashing back to what Mike Tomlin said to him on that sideline clip. It's like, I hope I never lose enough games to draft somebody that looks like you. He really does look like you just don't you don't see many bodies that are that athletic in the NFL, if any. I mean, he is top tier. Like Myles Garrett, Aaron Donald. You mentioned Watt. I think he's right there in that upper echelon of young stars playing the pass rusher position in the NFL.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think he's fantastic, and he's going to continue. And we have to understand, he is a rookie. He's a young guy. He hasn't even, you know what I'm saying? He hasn't even been through a full NFL season, so he's going to continue to work hard and just continue to get better.
Yeah, and we got to give some love to Montez Sweat, too, because he's becoming a stud there as well. He slipped to the end of the first round, but really becoming a good player. Let's get to another pass rusher. How about Haason Reddick? 5 sacks. 5 sacks against the Giants. They could not block him at all, and he was even doing a nice job of punching the ball loose. He almost seems like single-handedly he took over that football game, and there really was no offense from the Giants, but they couldn't block him. It didn't matter if he lined up on the right, left, anywhere in between. Reddick was just getting after the passer yesterday.
You know, the thing, too, when you look at him, he's kind of that tweener guy. He's not a big guy. You know what I'm saying? He's taking on offensive linemen, and he's not a huge guy, but he is so fast. He does a great job with his hands, and he has such great body control where he knows how to get to the quarterback and rush the passer. But when I looked at the Giants, I thought they brought Daniel Jones back too soon. And I don't know if you saw this, but he just wasn't himself. He couldn't run. He couldn't move. He was a statue. He's sitting there in a pocket. And if you take away his ability to move and to run and to scramble, then you really negate what he does best. And he's a fantastic athlete. He's fast. He's got good vision. He's got a big arm. But he was just average because he couldn't move.
I think one of the biggest misconceptions, and you made this point about the NFL, about football in general, is that you need to be a big, tall guy to have success. Who's the best defender in the NFL for the past handful of years? Aaron Donald. Small guy. I mean, he's like 6'1", right? He has all the leverage, all the natural leverage in the world. And I think you see some of the same things with Reddick. He's a first-round pick, 2017 from Temple, but he ran like 4.5, and he's crazy quick. And he's short, 6'1". He's that same size, 6'1", 230, that same size as Donald. But think about who he's going up against. All these 6'8" tackles that are 320 pounds trying to block this guy coming off the edge. They're like, they just can't get a hand on him. And when he gives them some of those shimmy shake moves, you just see him go, whoa, it's like trying to tackle a running back or something.
Do you believe in the Cardinals? Do you believe in the Cardinals? Do you believe in the Cardinals?
Well, they lost 3 straight. They lost 3 straight before this game. I mean, I already made my point in the last one about the Cardinals. I think they're in a similar position as the Miami Dolphins. I think they're close. I think they have a lot of young pieces that are going to be something, and I think in a year or 2 years that they will be a great team. And I think right now they're a good team at best.
I would say they're a solid team. I don't know about good. They're just so up and down. And Kyler Murray, I still have my reservations about him. He's still a young quarterback, and at times I see the level of frustration. So I would say they're a solid team. I wouldn't classify them as being a good team. I would love to play the Cardinals. And nothing about the Cardinals would scare me if I had to play them in the playoffs.
I agree with that. And the 3-game losing streak showed a lot of weaknesses. And I think that you saw a little kickback yesterday from the quarterback position from Kyler Murray. Mm-hmm. But also I think the Giants are really bad. I don't think the Giants are a good team at all. And I think that they're going to fall apart a little bit down the stretch here.
Come on, man. That's not even fair to say. Wait. You
just
said
got smoked by a team that you said is quote-unquote solid yesterday. I mean, how is that not a fair thing to say?
Brother, I'm not. All I'm saying is this: we go from the Giants, and we're talking about the Giants the last few weeks. They're hot, they're doing a great job, but then all of a sudden they lose one game, and we saw the Saints lose one game, and we saw other people lose games, and then all of a sudden they're just a terrible team. Joe Judge has done a great job with this team. This team doesn't have like a lot of talent. Like offensively, Wayne Gallman is a solid player. He's getting him to play well. The wide receiver position. I mean, think about Evan Ingram, the level of talent that he has, but no catches. I don't think he had any receiving yards, anything like that. So I wouldn't call the Giants a bad team. I would say they had a bad day yesterday and they're continuing to build, but I definitely wouldn't call them a bad team.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.